Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. May 4th, 2018.
Warning: The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, author of Liberalism is a Mental Disorder, Trump's War, and God, Faith, and Reason, Michael Savage.
Say you want a revolution, well, you know, we all want to change the world.
Did you change your story on Stormy Daniels? We're not changing any stories. All I'm telling you is that this country is right now running so smooth, and to be bringing up that kind of crap and to be bringing up witch hunts all the time, that's all you want to talk about. You're going to see, excuse me.
You did not know
but you have to, excuse me, you take a look at what I said. You go back and take a look. You'll see what I said.
You said no.
Excuse me. You go take a look at what we said. But this is a witch hunt. But what I do want you to do is look at our economy. Today we broke 4%, 3.9% we hit today for the first time in many, many years. We're really proud of it, and we'll talk to you folks later.
That's all. Take a walk, you Bolshevik bums. You're welcome to the Savage Nation. Now, as you know, the brazen mob never said one word to Barack Hussein Obama, no matter what he did. $175 billion to Iran so they can build a nuclear weapon and get away with it. All these big-mouthed girls had nothing to say. All of the half-men had nothing to say. It's disgusting, and I'm sick of it. But let me put this in context for you instead of getting so emotional about it. The reporting mob is today's Bolsheviks. Those of you who studied the Bolshevik Revolution will understand what I am saying. Those of you who don't know who the Bolsheviks were, pay attention because you're going to learn an important lesson today. The reporters today are the Bolsheviks of today. They're working hand in glove with the extreme left, the Antifa domestic terrorists, to bring about a revolution in the United States of America. They want revolutionary violence against the capitalist state. Make no mistake about it, the reporters today are working to bring about a Bolshevik revolution. Now, I'm going to put things in context for you today. I'm going to talk about the Russian Revolution. I'm going to talk about the L.A. Antifa group that hung Trump in effigy and called for revolutionary violence against the, quote, capitalist state. And I'm going to talk about these topics in the context that you need to understand to see the danger this country could be in the next election. And that is because what you're witnessing now is a continuum of history. Obama was a reaction to Bush's Iraq war. Obama presented himself as a man of peace, remember? He lied about that. He lied about everything. But he said he was a man of peace. He was not going to get involved in foreign wars. Remember that? So Obama was a reaction to Bush's Iraq war. Trump was a reaction to Obama's racism, anti-white rhetoric, anti-police rhetoric, and anti-capitalist rhetoric. That was the reason Trump won. The next election, whether it's at the end of this term or another 4 years, which I suspect will be true, and I hope so, I suspect we're going to have a socialist candidate. Something on the order of a younger Bernie Sanders, if such a person exists. He's too old, he's too crumpled, he's too unattractive. But that rhetoric is what the left is now using to sell their bill of goods, as though it's all brand new and no one ever heard it before. And what they're doing, the Democrats, is appealing to the extreme left, the Antifa fascist wing of their party. Even Hillary Clinton the other day gave away what their new strategy is. Do we have that, Clint? Of Hillary Clinton saying that one of the reasons she lost was because she was a capitalist, if you can believe this. So I know what she represents. I know what the entire Democrat Party represents. Play it when you have it. I want them to hear this.
You may be the only presidential candidate since World War II that actually had to stand up and say, I am a capitalist. And you did. Did it hurt you?
Probably. I mean, it's hard to know, but I mean, if you're in the Iowa caucuses and 41% of Democrats are socialists or self-described socialists, and I'm asked, are you a capitalist? And I say yes, but with appropriate regulation and appropriate accountability.
Turn the hag off. Turn the hag off for appropriate regulation, but no regulation of the Clinton Library, no regulation of any of your cronies, no regulation of your friends in Wall Street, no regulation at all. Just regulate conservative media, that's all. But let's get to the bigger point. She is going to use the rhetoric, and so will her party, of the far left. That's Gavin Newsom. That's Kamala Harris, who came and went. They ran her up the flagpole, and she didn't sell. So they dropped her, so now they're talking about someone else. They're going to find somebody to push the socialist agenda, screaming about anti-capitalism, and that's going to be whether it's at the end of this or the end of the 6 years, whatever it comes down to. So it leads me to a couple of questions, which I'm going to cover today as I take you through the Russian Revolution in a little bit of detail. We're going to explore the bloody Bolshevik takeover that changed the entire world, and how 30 million people died in the last century who embraced the communist rhetoric that Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, and in fact the entire media, puts down your throat every day, and so do every school in the United States. With almost rare exception, the schools are teaching communism. So I'm going to ask you a question of the Savage Nation. This is Dr. Savage. We're going to give you a little history lesson. At the bottom of this hour, we have a very special guest. We have Senator Lindsey Graham. And I don't have to give you a caveat that I've disagreed with him on certain things, which I have. But when I met him in Washington outside the congressional luncheon, actually it was outside the French state luncheon, he and I found out we have agreements, and the agreement is to save the wildlife of Africa while we can still do it. He's going to be here with you. I'm not going to attack him because I don't do that with guests. I'll leave that to the little men in the business who think that opening their big fat mouths and attacking everybody makes them tough as they sit there coughing their way through a show in a wheelchair. But the fact of the matter is I don't do that to guests. I learned in the years that I spent in the Fiji Islands that the way guests are treated is with dignity and respect. So don't expect me to have him up here and set him up here and start attacking him on the border. If I find someone who is opposed to borders, language, and culture, but agrees with me in areas that I think are critical to the survival of America or survival of the animals in this case, I will collaborate with them. I will cooperate with them. I will work with them. That is how business is done in the world. Those of you who were never in business or politics don't understand that, is that you have to work with people who you may think are your opponents. At a certain point, you have to come together. Now, I did this in the past with Charles Schumer of New York on the Dubai Ports deal, strangely enough, and I had him on the show. I wish we could get that tape. We'll do that Monday, where I said to Mr. Schumer, I said, it's funny how politics makes strange bedfellows, and we agreed on that, and we worked together, left and right, and we stopped the Dubai Ports deal against George Bush. So Senator Lindsey Graham on the Savage Nation to discuss saving the African elephants. We're going to actually talk about Iran as well and some other topics. But the topic that I want to start going right now on my show goes back to the communists, the Bolsheviks, the reporters being overt revolutionaries, and that is the issue of revolution. Do you want revolution in the United States today? And what do you envision would follow if there was a so-called communist revolution in America? I'm asking you again. I'm opening it up to any one of you people, left, right, or center. Do you want a revolution in the U.S.? Do you know what will happen? What would you envision would happen with a revolution? Now, other than Bernie Sanders, who could win as an open socialist in this country? And as I said last in the beginning here, how many were killed by communism in the last century? About 30 million people. 30 million people. Many of you are naive children. You were raised on Ritalin and communism, and you don't know what you're talking about. And you've now turned Donald Trump, a very decent man, a very good man, into someone worse than Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot put together. That's how sick it's become in this country. And I blame Jeff Zucker of CNN for most of this. He is an enemy of the people. That thing behind CNN who motivates the marionettes that he has working for him is one of the most evil revolutionaries this country has ever seen. And you may say, well, come on now. He's a multimillionaire. He runs a network. How could he be a revolutionary? Lenin came from a very, very successful family. Many of the revolutionaries in Russia were very successful lawyers, professors. Does it sound familiar to you? In America, the revolutionaries are sitting there in the universities with their little feet, their feet dangling over the edge of their chairs at Berkeley, collecting $175,000 a year. They don't teach any classes, and all I do is espouse communism every day, and they get rewarded for it by their deans and by their schmeens. So I know what's going on. They're sitting in the academy waiting for the revolution, and it will never happen, by the way. They don't understand I'll give you the fundamental reason why we're not going to have a communist revolution in this country. One reason, and one reason only. The people are fat and happy. If there is no starvation in the land, there's no revolution. Did you know that? The people are simply too fat and too happy. Have you gone to an event recently? Have you walked in a mall recently? Have you seen the swollen feet, the bloated bellies, the ham-sized arms? Do you understand what that means? It means the people are fat and happy. They're not going to revolt, ever. A revolt usually occurs when people are starving. There's no starvation in America. Remember a few years ago, the left was pushing the starvation rhetoric in the inner cities? That there was no starvation. There never was. There's an obesity epidemic. So obesity is the best friend of America. You can write that down. Obesity is the safety valve of America. We actually have to thank McDonald's and Burger King and Kentucky Fried Chicken for keeping America safe from the Bolsheviks. In fact, I think people should go out and buy these meals for some of the revolutionaries. They might be happier. They would be less gaunt, and the professors would be less likely to put a scarf over their face and come down in the streets and beat up police horses. If they'd stop being vegans and have a decent meal, we could probably stop the revolutionary rhetoric. If 90% of these vegan professors from Columbia, Berkeley, NYU, who put masks on their face and go out and break windows during their off hours, were to go out and have a steak and French fries and a glass of red wine, I think the country would be a lot safer. But I want to come back. I don't want to be too comedic in the political theater, but I will be comedic where necessary. I am going to speak today about the communist revolution. And I'm going to talk about what the L.A. Antifa group did the other day on May Day. They hung Trump in effigy, and they called for revolutionary violence against the capitalist state. They stand in solidarity, they say, with the Red Guards and principally Maoist collectives. Do you know who the Red Guards were? Do you know what they did to the middle class? Do you know what Mao Zedong did to the Chinese people? You morons, you. Mao Zedong resulted in the death of 30 million Chinese. Targeted were the teachers, doctors, lawyers, engineers, accountants, police. Anyone with eyeglasses was killed in China. You don't understand any of this because you were raised in the state-run schools in America, which are filled with propagandists who are stupid themselves. Drugged and stupid, very dangerous combination. So I'm going to give you a little history today on the bloody Bolshevik takeover that stunned the world, so you could educate your poor daughter whose brains have been washed at NYU. I'll be back. This is the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
Rock and Roll Friday on the Savage Nation. Still love the saxophone piece. Revolution or no revolution. McDonald's or veganism. I don't really care. I could see the topic's not taking with you. You want the basic meat and potatoes. You want the bacon and eggs. I try to give you filet mignon on the communist revolution. I gave you a brilliant monologue unlike anything you're ever going to hear on radio this week. So I'll go to the nails, the hammer, the nail gun. Rudy Jewel E. Annie. That's all you want to hear. Jewel E. Annie. Stormy Daniels. That's what you're ready for. Stop this stuff, Mike, about Russian Revolution stuff. We're not ready for that. We want to talk about Rudy Jewel E. Annie. He's finished. He's done. He's toast. He's gone. Jewel E. Annie tries to do damage control after Stormy Daniels' comments. This is even in the New York Post, which is to the right of center. Everyone knows he screwed up. Everyone knows he was 6 sheets to the wind. Someone corrected me on, at least my analysis is that I don't know that he was 6 sheets to the wind. He could have been 6 cans of Rayo's to the wind, for all I know. He could have been 6 ounces of pasta to the wind. He could have been 6 eggplant parmesans to the wind. I have no idea what he was on, but he was definitely off the other night on a Nail Gun show. And Trump called him out. He put him down today. He said he just started a day ago. He's learning the subject matter. Do you know what a spanking that was? Don't tell me that Trump likes him. I think he's going to be shown the door very slowly. And he's going to be back dining with the Southern District of New York prosecutors who he was trying to appease on Wallbanger's show. He's past his prime. He did a great job in his day, but he's not sharp anymore. He missed it. He was slurring. Everybody saw that. So that's, you can talk about that. I mean, Stormy Daniels, that dirtbag. I don't even want to mention the name. Do you think that my ancestors suffered through the plague and pogroms so that their descendant in the year 2018 could sit here and talk about a dirty whore or a stripper? Don't tell me adult film star. Don't even use those words around me. It's a disgrace to use those words about her. All the mothers in this country, all the decent women in this country, they have to watch this filth try to bring down a president. And why are they able to do it? Because of Zucker on CNN. Because of the deviants on MSNBC. The perverts and deviants on MSNBC would rather talk about a hooker and a stripper than talk about the jobs, than talk about North Korea, talk about victories. They'd rather talk about a filthy, disgusting degenerate. Why? Because that's where their mind is, in the gutter. That's where it's always been. See, that's the savage you want to hear. That's the one that Trump likes. When I raised my voice, which I didn't do in the White House, but once at Mar-a-Lago, I got worked up. He said, I like it. That's the savage. He likes the real. So I can do it either way. I can go either way, whatever you want. The high to the low, the upper, the lower. You want the uppers, you want the lowers. That's because I'm going to the dentist at the end of the day. We can talk about the revolution. No one called it, which I was surprised. When I said, do you want revolution in the U.S., no one took the bait. Not one socialist communist called the show and said, yes, I want revolution, and would explain how it would work. And then I asked you, other than Bernie Sanders, who could win as an open socialist? Not one call. And that shows you how diminished the talk radio audience has become. It's been so beaten up by the low IQ people in this business that all they can talk about are the one-dimensional topics. I can't play a one-string banjo. Do you understand that? I can't strum a one-string banjo for you. If I'm getting up here and I'm playing a Stradivarius for you, and you don't like violin music, I'm sorry, it's the wrong show for you. You got an option. You can listen to a one-string banjo. There's plenty of one-string banjos out there pretending that they're geniuses. You know, if you use the nail gun your whole life, you can only play a banjo once in a while with a broken string on it. Okay, I did it. Coming up next, since you don't want to talk about topics like this, boys and girls of the Savage University, we'll go to the next topic, which is Lindsey Graham's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. And I'm not going to entrap him. I'm not like you. We're going to talk about saving the elephants.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE.
Dixieland, come on, he's not. All right, turn it off. This is the Savage Nation on a Friday. It's 34 minutes after the hour. Turn him off. Turn Dino off. I was in Washington. I ran into a gentleman who I verbally abused on this show many times, and we found out we liked each other, and we have common cause in saving the wonderful, great creatures of Africa. Senator Lindsey Graham, welcome to the Savage Nation. Thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you. After meeting your wife, you can't be all bad.
Oh, rim shot. You know, when we were separating, you and I did get along, and the funny part is, I said to you, how come we're getting along? And am I allowed to say what you said about your upbringing?
Sure.
Senator Graham, who's actually a very personable man, said to me, well, Michael, he said, I grew up in a liquor... Did you say you grew up in a... Did you say a liquor store?
Or a restaurant, liquor store, pool room complex.
A pool room. You said you grew up in a pool room with a liquor store attached to it, and you learned how to talk to the average person, right?
Oh, yeah. Sober and drunk.
Well, no, it's an amazing thing in Washington to meet a real person who's willing to talk real. And rather than disagreeing with you, the time is so short to save these magnificent creatures. We are the last generation that can save them. It's that critical. Senator Graham, what can be done legislatively to stop the slaughter of these elephants?
Well, you got to get to the root cause. They're killed for their ivory. They're killed for economic gain, and the poor people have no choices. We've got to prove the lives of the people they recruit and go after the poachers and put them under the jail. The African elephant is a majestic creature, and God will look this favorably on all of us if we let it be slaughtered the way it's being slaughtered. So we're going to push back.
Senator Graham, I know this is a passion for you. This is not just rhetoric. Who else in the Senate, on the Senate side, cares about these creatures?
Well, once you get to know the elephant, everybody. So it's my job to educate people. Dianne Feinstein's been great. We formed a coalition of Democrats and Republicans. Again, you got to go after the root cause: extreme poverty, extreme despair over there, and give people something, a more hopeful life rather than, taking money to go slaughter elephants. And the people who trade in the ivory, they're the scourge of the earth and just have an international hammer on their head.
You had mentioned that you're going over to Africa on a mission with Bono, on a congressional mission. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm going to go over with a group of senators, the Gates Foundation, Rick Warren, faith-based people, NGOs, the One Foundation, the Gates Foundation. They're doing a lot of things in health, malaria, AIDS eradication. And I got a conservation group. The Walton family's been great on this. I may invite you and your wife to meet us. We're trying to galvanize the Congress to look at Africa as something worth saving, something worth fighting for, the people and the habitat, nature. We're going to fight the Chinese, we're going to fight the poachers, and we're going to show up in Africa and make a difference.
That's pretty amazing. I know your time is short, and I know this is one of the issues that you're passionate about. And and this coalition is very interesting to me, and I really would like to communicate with you, Senator, about possibly joining that group, even though I'm not a traveler. I did too much of it in my life. This sounds like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something really great. But let's talk about an issue that's very important to you, which is the Iran deal.
Absolutely.
Should President Trump, in your opinion, Senator Graham, rescind the Iran deal?
Yeah, he should withdraw because it's a bad deal for the world, Israel, and the region. It ensures that Iran can get a nuclear weapon in 15 years without cheating. 15 years from now, all the inspections go away. They can enrich and reprocess uranium without limitation. It's a pathway to a bomb. They haven't changed their behavior. You should make the world pick between the American banking system and the Iranian economy. He should get out if it's not changed.
Senator, Obama gave $150 billion to the Iranians. Where did that money come from? Does anybody know?
Well, it came from frozen assets. It came from, they had assets all over the world that were frozen. Here's a general rule of thumb. Don't buy a guy a knife who threatens to cut your throat. And it was the dumbest deal since Munich. You took a religious Nazi, the Ayatollah, who openly, advocates the destruction of the Jewish state, purifying his faith, bringing everybody in the world to their knees and, to bow to his view of religion. We gave him $150 billion, an enrichment reprocessing program that's not dismantled, it's just sort of slowed down. And, they mean it when they say they want to kill all the Jews. They mean it when they want to purify the Islamic faith in their image. And, Kerry and Obama were to crawl through glass for this deal. Thank God Trump's going to say, no, this is a bad deal.
Very interesting. Why are you so passionate about Israel? Are you raised in the Christian faith, I would assume?
Yeah, well, there are more Baptists than there are people in South Carolina, Michael. And
I love you. That's a funny line. But why the passion for Israel, Senator Graham?
Well, it's not just religion, It's a democracy. It's the one place in the Mideast where you can vote for your leaders. The rule of law replaces the rule of gun. There's an Arab on the Israeli Supreme Court. They share our values. Every enemy of Israel is an enemy of America. And if we give an inch on Israel, we're next. So we need to stand by those people in the Mideast, our Israeli friends, who share our values, who live in peace with us. And the people who want to destroy Israel want to destroy us. And that's a pretty simple proposition for me. If you don't have Israel's back, you're making a huge mistake.
So do you consider Iran a threat to the United States or just a threat to Israel?
The more young Americans were killed by IEDs, cone-shaped IEDs made by Hezbollah in Iran than any other device in Iraq. If you don't think they're our enemy, you just need to listen to them. When they chant death to America, do you think they're just kidding? Do you think the Ayatollah's got a base problem? He doesn't have to get elected. They say death to Israel, death to America. They mean it. The Ayatollah is a religious Nazi, Michael. People didn't believe Hitler wanted to kill all the Jews, but he did. The Iranian people are very cultured. They could be our allies. But this regime in Iran has got a mission to purify the Islamic faith, to get a land bridge from Tehran to Beirut. They want to destroy Israel, 160,000 rockets given to Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. And, you know, they've killed Americans. If you don't believe they're our enemy, you're just not listening to what they say and what they do.
No, I believe they're our enemy. I mean, I trust their rhetoric is coming straight from the Quran, which they take as the literal word of God. And they believe that Jews should be killed and the Christians should be brought to heel and turned into Muslims. I know exactly what they believe. So, but Senator Graham, what can be done to stop Iran in their revolutionary fervor to convert the world to this madness?
Number one, isolate them like we did North Korea. Withdraw from the agreement unless you can make it better. There should be no limitation based on the passage of time. Their program should be held in abeyance forever. Inspectors should never leave. We should have their ballistic missile program subject to sanctions. Make the Europeans pick between the American economy and the Iranian economy. We need to help Syrian Arabs fight back against Assad, who is a puppet of the Iranians. We need a counter-Iran strategy throughout Lebanon, Syria. We need to help the regime in Yemen. Saudi Arabia push back against the Houthis, or a proxy against Iran in Yemen. We need to punish them economically and help our allies stand up to them. We need to give Israel more weapons so they can deal with the threats coming from Iran and Syria and Lebanon through Hezbollah and actually Iranian Revolutionary Guard units inside of Syria. Give Israel more, stand by our Arab allies, and push back against Iran on all fronts.
Wow. All I can say is let's shoot pool fast, Eddie. I mean, this is amazing. You're a man with immense knowledge of the subject, and you talk directly to the issue, Senator Graham. But before you leave us, and I know this is a short segment, just going back again to the African wildlife, could you explain to the average guy out there who thinks it's not a big deal to kill these creatures why it is a big deal?
Well, number one, it says a lot about humanity. You know, the bottom line, these are majestic creatures that are a gift from God to all of us. And if you can sit on the sidelines and watch a magnificent elephant and all the herds be slaughtered, then you've lost your way as a human being. It's a humanitarian issue. I think we need to stabilize Africa. From an economic point of view, Africa will make more money over time preserving their wildlife, and they will killing it. Terrorism is going to Africa. These vacuums that exist over there with extreme poverty, extreme ideology, and extreme climate. Saving the elephant helps stabilize Africa. Stabilizing Africa will create customers and friends rather than a breeding ground for terrorism. And it's the one thing that should unite libertarians, vegetarians, Democrats, Republicans. These are majestic creatures, and we have a duty to protect these creatures.
You know, Senator Graham, when I went and saw the president on that trip to Washington, which was the high point of my life when I met you, and I went into the president, I brought this issue up. And I said I met Senator Graham, and he's very passionate about saving the elephants and the lions. You know what the president said to me? And my wife will vouch for it since you brought her up. I mean, she's absolutely going to vouch for this. He said, are you telling me they're still bringing that garbage? He says, why would anyone bring that into this country? I think the president believes that he reversed the order and restored the protections, but that someone went around and undermined him.
Well, there's an executive order. What we're trying to do is create legislation that will survive administrations, that will create legal regimes and penalties to go after the ivory trade and the poachers. I compliment the president for his executive action, but this is legislation that would have the force of a law beyond any particular administration, and I think could rally the world to a worthy cause. And if you see the elephants, if you spend any time in Africa, you will get bitten by the bug of loving that continent. And if you go to Africa and if the elephants don't move you, then you've got a problem.
Senator Graham, when is this trip to Africa that you are putting together?
The year, probably. I'm trying to get Ibaka to go. I'm trying to make, Africa's a great prize. The Chinese are all over the place, raping the resources and, corruption, bringing in Chinese workers. President Bush did a PEPFAR program to help eradicate AIDS and to save millions of young Africans from certain death. But conservation in Africa will help the economy of Africa. It is the right thing to do in terms of economic and environmental policy. I'm going to do it at the end of the year. But I'm trying to get Republicans and Democrats focused on Africa. Don't give Africa to the terrorists, and don't give it to the Chinese.
Well, the president knows, because I bugged him on this issue for about 6 months now, and I bugged other people, the vice president, chief of staff. They know how passionate I am on this. I've been working in the environmental area for 40 years. I would like you to consider bringing me along, because I would be a great asset for you.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm trying to put the coalition from hell together. I'm trying to get liberals, conservatives, middle-of-the-road people, faith-based community, business people. It's good business. A lot of customers in Africa. It's the fastest-growing population on the planet. There's a lot of money to be made, a lot of power lines to be run, a lot of goods to be sold. I would like to preserve the environment over there, just to to have some favor with God, if nothing else. So
I hear you. No, I hear the center of it. God, Faith, and Reason. That's the last book I wrote. And I know that what the word dominion means in the Bible is often misinterpreted by people who think it means slaughter and subdue. It means protect. It means protect. It does not mean slaughter. Senator Graham, I know that you have to go, and I know we're going to talk again before the end of the year. And if there's a spare seat in that airplane, I'll even sit in the back of that airplane.
Well, you need to be part of this coalition, because your voice added to this coalition can make a difference. We're going to get this done because it's the right thing to do.
I love it. So we will shoot pool fast, Eddie, on saving the elephants.
Adios.
Adios, amigo. This is the Savage Nation. What a great, great time I just had. And you see what happens with people when you get to know them. He's not for the borders. He's against Trump. Well, maybe you're wrong. Maybe the stereotypes that the media has put out about me, about Donald Trump, even about our opponents, are just stereotypes. Let's talk about the whole person, not pieces. I'll be back in a minute. I'm Michael Savage.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
I've told you that your circulation is about as important as it gets in your body. And you know why? It's crucial to energy, stamina, gets oxygen and nutrients flowing throughout your body, helps you exercise, recover quickly, even your everyday activities. And I've told you the best thing to do to promote healthy circulation other than exercise is drink Super Beets. Super Beets promotes the body's own natural ability to produce healthier circulation for increased energy and gives you stamina all day long. Only Super Beets is made from beets that they grow to a very exact standards, and then they concentrate these crystals for you. So if you want to improve your circulation, simple, call 800-481-0504, 481-0504, or go to SavageLovesBeets.com. And with your first order, you're going to get another 30-day free and indicator strips to show you how Super Beets is working in your body, and free shipping. So call 800-481-0504 or go to SavageLovesBeets.com today. Now, I just had a great interview with Senator Lindsey Graham, and I'm so happy that he was on the show, because I think you understand where I'm coming from, which is we've got to cooperate even with people you call rhinos to get anything done. So if you find one aspect of your political views that you can share, what you do is you make an alliance with that individual. And then you learn together. Maybe you can move him on the border. Maybe I can move him on other things. Or maybe what you've heard is not what we think he is. I think that he did a great job, and I think he was very honest, and I'm going to have him back again, and I probably will consider going to Africa with them. I hate traveling. I do. I've done too much of it. All the years in the islands, the Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, Marquesas, the years going in and out of those islands, something in me just disappeared in my body, spending those long, long days in those villages. But this is different. This will be with a group of people with a mission. and I just might consider it. I don't know about the 18-hour flight with Dianne Feinstein on the plane. That's the one problem. That is the one problem. Do clothespins come with the seat is what I want to know.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. He's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.